Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We are your multi-award winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast and we do return, yes, back to a little bit of normality. Been a crazy last 48 hours. Something really, really wrong when we're recording back-to-back in a space of a couple of days and there's no game on. And it's emergency pods about players that are dropping like flies of injury. It must mean it's the end of November, beginning of December. It's been Spurs are back firmly in our lives. If you're with us for the first time, you can find us on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're across all major audio platforms. We're, of course, on X, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and now have had to adopt to Blue Sky too. Yes, we are joining the Blue Sky crew, and I'm joined by regular crew members on Last Word on Spurs who are going to guide us through the next hour or so on the couch. It's back to the therapy couch, unfortunately, on the back of the news we had in the last few days. Joining me, I've got the wonderful Ash Matic over at the Spurs Kings. Ash, love to see you back on. How are you, my man?
Yes, my brothers and my sisters, how are we all? I'm all good. It's another day in the Spurs office, never a dull day. And as always, man, Spurs never disappoint. Whether it's good or bad, you could just never tell. I feel like I'm in a soap opera, maybe like an EastEnders. That's how I feel with Spurs at the moment.
Oh, it's far more dramatic than that, isn't it now, Ash? I heard EastEnders lines are not even that great these days. It is a lot more dramatic than this, isn't it?
I'm just waiting for the drum roll, man. Do you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, man. We move. Like, this is what makes us who we are, and this is why our support is so amazing. We're thick-skinned people, and we just get on with things, We just get on with it. It's just another day at the lane.
You see what Andrew's doing to you, Ash? You're almost subconsciously becoming him now with this is who we are, mate. It's who we are, mate. Actually, saying it before he even knows he's actually bloody saying it these days. Look, he's submerging into him. Ash, love to see you back on, my man. Thank you so much. Also back on the show, look, hard-hitting opinions. Love always having her on Last Word on Spurs. We've got the wonderful Talia, Coren in the house. Tal, love to have you on. How are you? I'm fighting everybody for the mute button. I can see so far.
I know. I forgot what to do. It's been so long. I forgot where the button was. But no, I'm good. I've been to Australia and back and everywhere else. I've been a busy gal, but doing good and I'm excited to be back. And of course, here to talk about Tottenham when circumstances aren't great as usual. So what better way to return?
You know, I joke, we had 48 hours to try and enjoy City. We got to 47 and a half before that car. We couldn't even get 48 hours. We got 47 and a half. This bloody football club, I tell you. Honestly,
someone nice things.
Honestly, I mean, Anthony Costa, bless him, told me this club is cursed. I said, Ant, it's not. He said, it bloody is. I think I probably tend to agree with that.
We're at the point now where it might be.
It is cursed. It is. I think we're cursed. We are an issue with our comments. We're going to be sorting those out for you in a second. We are. I can see there's some that are trying to struggle through, and like Tottenham, they ain't letting you in. We're going to sort you out very, very soon. Also back on the show, making up our elite panel for this one, we've got a businessman in the house. It's, of course, the wonderful, the brilliant, the voice of Spurs. James Black is back on the show. James, lovely to have you on. We'll talk about your European tour on your own in a second because, mate, for you, it's been absolutely sold out and round. How are you, James? Have you back on Last One on Spurs, my man?
Oh, it's been amazing. Yeah, well, amazing up until the last 24 hours. But, yeah, I loved it. Norway was amazing. That was incredible. I'm sure we'll go on to the Man City game. But like any Tottenham fan at the minute, the focus is on something a little bit more down, which is crazy. Beat the champions 4-0, and we're sitting here still not completely on cloud nine, which is crazy. But yeah, I'm really good, and good to have an elite panel with us today is amazing. So thank you for having me back on.
Bless you, man.
Yeah, can't wait to get stuck into it.
Well, you know, before we do talk about Spurs, James, let's just stick you for a second because we need a pick-me-up right at the moment. You've had a really great last, I'd say months, year. I mean, it's been amazing for you, and it's great news to bring to obviously a lot of people that do follow what you do. Obviously, in and around the Spurs community, they do see you. Listen, sometimes once a week, twice a week in the stadium, bi-weekly, of course. You've had that Voice of Spurs World Tour for 24-25 now sold out. I mean, I'm sure you're echoing the fact of just how much support you've had, James, has been simply remarkable, right?
Yeah, it's been absolutely insane. I still can't get my head around it. I'm just like a Spurs fan with a guitar, so I don't even even see myself properly as a musician. So I'm just like a Spurs fan who picks up a guitar and sings along with you guys, and it's just been incredible. Yeah, and it's every date now is sold out. It's not the venues that are sold out yet, but every date is now sold out from the supporters clubs. But that's gone very, very quick, and I'm going to do it again next year because I've had quite a few people who want to still do it. So I'll do it again next season, I'd imagine. But yeah, very humbling. I have a dream job, but I would give a word of advice: don't do your business on Spurs results. It's quite hard sometimes, but yeah, I'm loving playing in front of fans. Go like Norway, but for the Man City game was just a dream come true. But yeah, I'm thankful to every single fan, and I'm very humbled by the whole thing.
Yeah, it's I say amazing year for you, man. I say very, very proud of you. Let's switch our attention to Spurs. back to life, back to reality. honestly, I said to you, 47 and a half hours we got on Tottenham in our lives, and bang, they're back in action. That we had the news, of course, that came to us late Monday evening. Yeah, late Monday evening, that news that Spurs are going to be without Vicario for what looks like to be a sustained period, unfortunately. Now, he has undergone a successful operation, which it appears is going to rule him out for a time frame that Spurs had refused to confirm. But the expectation is that he will return after the January transfer window is closed, which we understand could lead to Spurs accelerating their plans to sign a new goalkeeper to compete with the Italian. Now, regarding suggestions that Spurs should explore the free agent market for a stopgap goalkeeper, whilst the club isn't prohibited from doing that, any prospective signing couldn't be registered until the start of the January transfer window. So it is a case that Tottenham will have to work with what they have for now. And that will mean, of course, as we expect, Fraser Forster is going to be that man that will have to come in during that period and quite simply fight fire with fire. So listen, here we go. It's over to that man, Fraser Forster, the big tree to see us through the period. Tal, I'm going to open up with you. You'll never want to mince your words on here. I mean, I know you must have enjoyed that win against Man City. How quickly have you come back down to earth?
I mean, City game was a joke. Honestly, like, I know we always somehow show up against City, right? And generally, I do feel quite optimistic when we play them, even though it's bizarre. And I still don't quite understand how we pull out a performance against them every time. But this time I thought, you know what? We broke them in the cup. They've not won a game since. And I was like, this has to kind of sort itself out. We're going to get absolutely battered and then order will be restored and they'll just go back to their winning ways. But 4-0, I mean, we don't really do clean sheets very often, let alone against the champions, let alone against, at the Etihad. It was incredible. I mean, what a game. I think, and I listened to the pod, all of us have the same thoughts, but Decky in particular, Vic, as we know, just amazing. And I just think it's so sad because to go from that high, have such a positive win, especially where the fixture schedule is getting so congested, to then unfortunately have to be where we are now is just really frustrating, I think, because it does feel like every time we take a few steps forward, we're taking 10 back and it's just out of all of our control, right? And I think no one's probably more gutted than Vic himself, but to play 60 minutes with a broken ankle or a broken bone in his ankle, sorry, that's wild. Like, absolute warrior, and what a guy. When we know he has Tottenham running through his veins, and says it all, doesn't it? To do that and pull off the performance that he did is insane. I think we are just going to miss him loads. I mean,
Yeah.
He's a controversial character sometimes, and just in terms of like how inconsistent he can be. And I think we've all critiqued him a lot on corners and just very few things. But I think at the Etihad, he was really, really great. And he made some absolutely stunning saves and was just on top form, as you know, so often he can be, but he really was on top form. So then now to have a crash landing and be like, right, we don't know when we're going to see him again.
Yeah.
It's not great. Because no disrespect to my pal Fraser.
I mean, how big is that drop-off, Tal, for you? Is that something you're considerably worried about when you look at the other players that we've got in the squad? Is that the massive concern about the genuine big drop? No disrespect to Fraser, who, to be fair, I think he had an interesting game against Galatasaray. It's fair to say he had a couple of great saves in there. I mean, the reality is now maybe will it benefit him coming in for a period maybe of time rather than having to kind of come in for one game, then obviously be back on the bench and then come back in for another game? Will a run of games maybe get the best out of Fraser, arguably?
I don't know is the answer. I don't know. I'd like to say yes, but I'm
Mm.
not entirely convinced. I think he will definitely make a save where we think, oh, yeah, well done, or he's done really well there. But consistently, he's not going to be able to pull that off. And I don't think we've watched a game where he hasn't made numerous mistakes. And as we know, we get punished when people attack us. And that is my fear, especially where Mickey's out or Romero, etc. It's not like we have our strongest defence in front of him anyway. I mean, and look, again, that's no disrespect. The boys at the weekend were incredible. And you cannot fault them for that performance at all. But I think it is just hard to sit and think, oh, yeah, I really trust him in goal with everything that's going to happen. You know, we've got fixtures every few days and he's an older bloke. Not that keepers, you know, have to be the best and the fittest ever, but like he's older, he's not had a consistent run. It's hard. And I think to just be like, right, you're in a team, all that pressure, soak it up in the festive period. We've got a game against United, all these things coming up where we're not expecting Vic to be back. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't want to speak too negatively because he's earned the right, I guess, over his career and stuff to be, you know, and I know all the players, etc., love him in the dressing room, but I'm not sure how confident I feel that he will be our keeper with the upcoming fixture run.
It's a tricky one. I mean, like I say, the club obviously they've stood by him, of course, in the Europa League. That's for sure. Obviously, you know, there were question marks raised when Ange obviously put him into the Europa League squad. Many suggest that Jed Spence was so unlucky to be missing out. But again, in hindsight, is it an absolute masterstroke that they have put him in there? I mean, Ash, I'll bring you in. Like I said to Tal there, I mean, it's maybe arguably the one position we've got in the squad where there is such a genuine drop-off. But to try and look at it optimistically, do you think, like I asked Tal there, does a regular run of games maybe benefit the goalkeeper himself? Because, you know, this was a guy at one point that Messi said, I couldn't score past him. He was nicknamed the Wall. I mean, can he be the Wall for Tottenham in these next couple of months?
You know what? It's a funny one with Big Vic because a lot of people are running to his deficiencies. But if I am trying to be optimistic, which you did ask me to be, I'm thinking, what is he good at? Can he do something in goal? How is he from playing out from the back? Is he decent? He's shown a clip there where I remember in the cup game, I think it was against Coventry. And when it comes to sweeper keeper, I wouldn't say that's his biggest strength, in my opinion. But in terms of playing out from the back, it will allow us still to carry on certain times when we need to invite the press on or we need to be patient. And, you know, when we do play out from the back, it allows the players to have space in behind to run into. So Big Vic, in my opinion, isn't terrible from actually kicking it out. Whether it's long or short, he can do that. Actually, his long kicks are actually decent, in my opinion. His shot stopping, his mobility is a bit of a concern because everyone associates his diving like Frankenstein, almost like a mummy, almost, I don't know. He drops down and it's like a big oak tree just landing on the floor, crashing down into the floor. But I think he is a decent shot stopper. He's a decent shot stopper. Will Ange be brave enough to mix it up in other competitions and maybe try one of the other keepers in, I don't know, an Alfie-Man, any of the other keepers there that are around, Austin, maybe Whiteman, I don't know. There's those options there as well. So it's not like he's the end and be all if it doesn't really work out. But I'm not super scared at the moment. Everyone's having a meltdown because it's another injury and it's another first teamer, and rightly so. But I'm going to be more patient with this one. I'm going to just see it out and see how it goes because I think coming for corners, he's all right. He's all right. Coming for corners, I'm not scared. He's a big guy. And remember, Vicario was getting bullied a lot. And loads of people. Remember, the other day, other people onto Vicario. Is he good enough? I don't think he's this and that.
That's been
now
a common
he's gone.
Isn't it?
Look how the tune has changed. Like, come on, man. So I'm going to give it a little
though as well, I think. Like, he
100%.
was really good on the weekend. If he had a crap game, you would
Very
no
true.
one would ever. Like, everyone's so reactive in this.
Of course
Like,
they are.
as is
This is
everyone.
what
Like,
spot it.
girl, this is what I'm saying to you. So like, yeah, that's why I'm not too reactive. I'm a wait and see. And obviously, like I said before, he has had a stinker in that cup game, but yeah, we move, man. I'm gonna wait and see, man.
James thank you so much for that, Ash. James bringing you in. You got your renditions of Fraser Forster songs ready at the go? What are we saying? I mean, it's a massive couple of months now. And you got to prove it to you.
I think that one the school kids sung to him, didn't they? They were singing. There was some school kids singing some songs to him. Yeah. I mean, same as Talia and Ash was saying. To be honest, I think I've not got great confidence, but maybe a run of games. But for me, I would think Ash just touched on this just now. I might like to see for Roma looking at someone like Brandon Austin, because it's not as important as Fulham for me. If obviously it's important, every cup game's important, every game's important. But say for example, he does have a great game, then all of a sudden we've got two options, and he is knocking on a bit, Fraser Forster, and we're playing every 3 or 4 days. We might have to mix it up, and should we? Don't want to do that against like the Man Uniteds in the quarterfinals or in an important league game. So maybe we should see one of the other keepers early on and make that decision. I liked Fraser Forster at corners a bit better as well, but again, Vicario was amazing at the weekend, wasn't he? And then I put that a little bit down to this is an unpopular opinion, but I think Ben Davies and Dragusin were probably better than Romero and Van der Ven defending corners there, like quite a bit. I mean, he's been very reliable, hasn't he? So
they've both been. Listen, Ben Davies and Dragusin, there's no doubt about it. Those two as a pairing, certainly against City, James, to bring you back in. Yeah. I mean, they've had 2 excellent performances, haven't they? They've been brilliant against.
Superb. Yeah. I mean, we always struggle on set pieces. We're not as much this season, but we've been struggling for quite a bit. And so maybe, yeah. I mean, I do worry about that kind of no Mickey Van der Ven, no Romero, no Vicario, all at the back together. But I would probably like to see. I wouldn't be too shocked if I saw Brandon Austin against Roma, because it is. Should we try it on early on where we can make a decision? Because we can't make any other movements for a keeper who can start until Newcastle on January the 4th. So, and we've got about 7 games there.
Am I right in saying that's what your biggest concern is, James? It's the element of the frequency of games and whether Forster is able to play all those games in one go. That's your biggest concern, right?
Yeah, well, like what Talia is saying, he's 36 and still he's quite slow to get down. A great shot stopper, but can you go from nothing at that age to playing every 3 games? I know goalkeepers don't move a lot, but there's a lot of concentration in that. So goalkeepers do have to be ready. So I would like to see an option. And I think the only option will be either Whiteman or Austin, am I right? Until January the 4th Newcastle game anyway. So why not at least try them? And if we are to try them, should it be against Rome, or should it be like, because to me, I know again after this City game, but we've got a shot at top 4 if we keep playing that way. I'm being
It's very true. It's very true.
And I think by the time we get to the knockouts, which I think is 13th and 20th of February, Vicario might be back anyway. So if we do have to play an extra game because we've dropped down the Europa League, it's not ideal, but taking an extra game and trying that out, maybe that's the way back. I'm not the football manager. I'm just a guitar man.
Listen, we'll see, because it's an interesting one on that point. That's what Spurs will do with such a cluttered run of games coming and such big games in there as well. You know, again, I say these things and Tal said it to open up. We just can't have nice things, can we? You know, it's even the case of enjoying it. You know, you just think, I think Billy T, bless his heart, put out that, I think, tweet on X going, whoever's, you know, got Spurs in a paradigm life, wherever they are, and playing with us, they've created the best ever game for those that are non-Spurs fans. I mean, they've literally got us on this hamster wheel, and we're just trying to keep going. But my God, it's testing. It is testing.
I just don't understand us as a club. And the more I think about it, the more funny it is.
Nuts,
like,
nuts.
It is every time something happens, you think, nah, and then it happens, and you're just like, what?
We're literally, can I say, we're literally we're coming up to, I think, match day 12 in the Premier League, right? Identically the same period last season where we lost half the bloody team, and now we lose the goalkeeper, and the drop-off is the concern aspect, Al, right? It's unbelievable, this club. Unbelievable.
Honestly, there's no words for it. There isn't, and it's the same thing every time. Something always happens that you don't think
honestly,
is a possibility.
I have
And it
had this
just
chat with my
slaps you in the
father.
face.
I've had this chat with my dad and saying, "What have you done to me?" This is why. I'll be honest with you. The younger listeners will know this. No one gets to pick. You know, some people, if you get to pick your club, then God, what have you done? But for me, I didn't get a chance to pick because I can bloody
Right.
assure you, if I had a chance to pick, as much as I love doing Last Word on Spurs, I think I'd be bloody doing this.
No, against
Supporting
Ipswich,
this.
there was this boy a couple
Oh
of
my
seasons ago.
God.
He was probably about 7,
Poor
and he
kid.
was
Terrible.
sobbing. He was
Yep.
sobbing, and his dad just looked at him and went, "You got a lot more of this, son."
Well, he probably got
And it was
taken,
like,
you know, probably
and
got taken as a
everyone was
punishment.
laughing.
He probably got taken as a punishment, Tal. I mean, I was like, if you carry on while you're going, I'm taking you to Spurs next week. Honestly,
Yeah.
what a
It's like,
club.
no, Dad,
it'll-
please.
No, we'll
What a
make a man
club.
of him. Don't worry, we'll make a man of him.
I know,
Honestly.
Don't worry.
exactly. We're like,
He'll
"Gotta
either do
start
that, Ash, or
somewhere."
break him. Either that or break him, Ash, one of the two. Such a crazy one. I mean,
Well,
James, I
we
feel
say,
for you.
Ash, we're thick skinned, don't we? We're thick skinned.
Oh, yeah. Well, what I mean for James, poor bloke, when we do get those home defeats, he's got to keep the crowd going at home. That's the worst, isn't it, James, for you? That's the worst. Got to be the worst.
Worst place in the world. You just want the whole place to swallow you up. Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about something positive. Let's talk about Ben Davies and Radu Dragusin's form, because it'll be quite interesting about what Spurs are going to do during this period, because look, we're expecting hopefully Romero to be coming back in the near future. Obviously, we'll get an update from Ange Postecoglou, who is holding that presser on Wednesday. And, you know, at the moment, our understanding is that he's out of the two, him and Mickey likely to be the first one back in terms of that pairing. But to be fair to Radu Dragusin and Ben Davies, there seems to be a real calming understanding between the two. And I have seen calls now a lot in the Spurs community that why should we be dropping these guys if the likes of a Romero or Mickey van der Ven are free to come back in? I'd like to ask, if I can, James, that question to you. Where are you on that argument when it comes to these centre-backs? We've got this big game against AS Roma on Thursday we'll look to very, very shortly. We then got a massive game against Fulham in the Premier League. How do you see that playing out in terms of now the rotation of those centre-halves? Where are you on that?
The crazy thing about that, if you used to ask me a couple of weeks ago, I'd find that very easy to answer. And now it's a little bit harder to answer. And I quite like the fact that it's a little bit harder to answer because you put them up. They were incredible, weren't they? They were amazing. And there's just something there with Romero. And I don't quite know what it is. It doesn't seem the concentration was there. I can pick out probably five to six goals this season that have been his concentration issues. And is he as switched on? Is he? I'm being maybe a bit silly here, but it seemed that form seemed to drop when he had that fallout with the club about that flight that wasn't paid for him. After that, that's when I kind of sort of see like a concentration dip. I don't really know what the answer is there, but I'm glad that Ben Davies has come in and Dragusin's come in and done a job, and it might just give him a kick to sort of go, look, these guys are not. They're up there on you now. So if you don't perform, we have got these options. So. Yeah, maybe it's like injury based. It's not just because he's had a child. Is it injury based? A bit of both. Or what's the reason that he wasn't? It was injury, wasn't it?
It was injury. Yeah, it was injury. I'm not aware of any paternity leave that happens in football, as far as I'm aware.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, Roy Keane says, well, he didn't have the baby, did he?
No, exactly that case. Exactly that case.
But yeah, I mean. Again, asked me 2 weeks ago, and I'll be like, well, very clear answer. Asking me now, and thankfully, they've come in and done a job against an incredible forward line. So I wouldn't be as concerned. And Mickey's a different story for me. Mickey's he's incredible. So it's just that over Romero and Dragusin thing for me that it's maybe it's starting to get a little bit closer. And you've got Ben Davies that's put in a great shift and. How good they are and how concentrating they are, that every single second. He's just Mr. Reliable, isn't he? That's what they call him. And there's a reason for that.
That's so true, James. They were donning him in the Maldini shirt, weren't they, earlier in the week? James Maddison was trolling and laughing about that. But to be fair to Ben, I've always made this point on the show, you know, he's never lacked commitment, effort and desire for the shirt. The one thing he's always been questioned about maybe is his lack of pace. But from a footballing brain perspective, he's always been there. Hasn't he? Always.
Doesn't he? Like, I think just being like cruelly honest, Romero's a far better defender than Ben Davies, but Ben Davies' heart and passion for Tottenham is miles above Romero's, I think, at the minute. And I think that's where the argument comes in, because then it becomes a little bit more even. So, I wouldn't. If you saw Davies and Dragusin against Roma, I don't think he'd be as panicky as you would have been 2 weeks ago. Well, I wouldn't be as panicky as I would be 2 weeks ago, and there's a reason for that. And fair play to him.
It's quite interesting, Ash, bringing you in, because if you remember back to the end of last season, Ange Postecoglou said towards the end of it that whatever's in Romero, I've got to get in. to some of the other players. And it's quite interesting now because Romero is going to be nearing full fitness soon, unless, can I just say as a caveat, that we're recording on Wednesday here and it's Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, so anything can bloody happen, right? I'm always conscious anything can happen when I talk about players and injuries, but barring any disasters, Romero will be back for the club very, very soon. What do we do, Ash, in your mind, in terms of those centre-backs now? Is it pure rotation? Do you keep with Radu Dragusin and Ben Davies? What's, if anything, changed in your mind when it comes to the way Spurs are going to look at these next few weeks and the games upcoming?
I think it is a positive thing that Dragusin has finally picked up form because, like James said a couple of weeks ago, there were a few games where Galatasaray, you're looking at him and you're like, oh, hang on. Is he the defender we thought it was going to be? Do you know what I mean? Against Ipswich, he made a couple mistakes. However, the caveat to that, I would say, is that he was playing out of position because he was on the left side of the two centre-backs, where he's normally playing as a right-sided centre-back because he is right-footed. And as a result, you're able to see him on the ball, distribute the ball a little bit better, in my opinion, and defend also with his stronger foot. We've mentioned, well, from what I see, he's a good box defender. And I think the tactics suited him on Saturday because City did have a lot of the ball, which forced us a little bit deeper. When he is in that high line, sometimes some of his weaknesses are exposed. So it'll be interesting to see the tactics that Ange deploys, whether we keep Dragusin as a high line in that kind of formation where there's two at the back with Ben Davies, or if we go into maybe like a more of a mid-block and we drop him back a little bit just to kind of, not to say Dragusin's slow. I'm not saying that, no way. Because he's not slow, but he's not a road runner either. But neither is Romero. Do you know what I'm saying?
No,
but it's like different players have different strengths. I think with Romero, he's really good at playing through the lines. Some people complain, oh, why is he putting his foot on the ball? Why is he slowing it down? It's to bait the press. It's to get his head up to see what the best pass is. And he's able to do balls over the top, passing between the lines, as I said before, and find some of our attacking options. And sometimes Spurs do lack a ball progressor. Do you know what I'm saying? So the fact that Romero in that team in possession can do that, I think is actually a plus on our side in possession. It helps us to break down stubborn low blocks or mid blocks or whatever you want to call it. I think rare fans are quite upset with Romero at the moment is because we associate him with Argentinian, a South American, wolf, a Wolverine, someone that's kind of rabid in that challenge. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I see Romero. And I'm like, people are like, oh, that should be our captain. And that's what I think Ange meant by, I want to install whatever he has in other players, if you know what I mean. And so I kind of get where the two arguments are, because with Dragusin and Ben Davies, it seems like there's a calming aura, like a calming presence in the team, and you're not so worried when they're on the ball. But I think it has to do a lot with their positioning, and Ben Davies adds that experience as well. Mickey van der Ven has that kind of sweeper kind of thing about him, doesn't he? So, but anyway, we're talking about Romero and Van der Ven partnership compared to Ben Davies and Dragusin. I'm happy that these two have worked on their relationship and it's starting to blossom. Do you know what I mean? It can only mean good things for Spurs.
It's a good point that you make there, Ash. I mean, look, the good thing is, Tal, we spoke a lot on the show about the need for competition, the need for other players to push each other. Is that the good thing right now, that there is a little bit of a dilemma there as to what Ange may need to do ahead of potentially, I'm maybe fast forwarding here, we're going to obviously cover Roma in the show, but for Fulham, for example, at the weekend, if Romero is back in contention and just got a decision to make, is that fair?
I think yes, but not necessarily fairly. Like, for me, look, everything you guys have just said about Romero is completely true, but I do think Mickey covers for him a lot because he's able to and he's quick. And if Mickey isn't back and Romero is, I don't know what that looks like on the field either. And I feel like off the back of a really fantastic performance from both of them, I don't know why you'd change it so soon with the fixtures coming so thick and fast. You'd give him the extra time unless he was really 100% there and just let them build their relationship. We know they're going to be needed. You can always sub someone and have that luxury if you're doing well. Like, that's fine too. And I think he's done that quite a lot recently. When people aren't 100% fit, he's subbing them off. So there's no reason why they can't start the game and he can come on to get some minutes in his legs, vice versa. Like, that feels like a fair thing to do. I think if I was Ben or Radu, like I'd be disheartened if I was dropped after that performance because they didn't put a foot wrong. And yes, competition's everything, and you don't leave your vice captain on your bench. And Mickey, you know, is arguably one of the best defenders we've ever had at this club. And you think, oh, if he's back, you can't just leave him on the bench and play X, Y, and Z instead of him. And I totally get that. I think it's up to Ange. He'll see the stats and kind of understand where we are. And with the run of games, I think he just has to make the right decision and not necessarily one that's a really short term. I want this player on the pitch. It's like, don't rush them back. Look, for all of our flaws, we've had to rush players back because we just don't have cover. This is arguably one of those times where we probably don't need to do that in this position, because it always used to be, oh, we've got Eric Dyer on the pitch, we need to get this person back.
Sanchez, of course.
Exactly. We've always had someone like that where it's been like pure panic stations if there's that injury. Now, and again, everything is so reactive. Like, they had a fantastic game. If they weren't that great at the weekend, we wouldn't be saying this now. You'd be like, great, can't wait to have him back, put him on the bench, do all of these things. So I think everything's in balance. Like, we see 90 minutes, they see training every day and do all of these things. I think we all know they're capable. Like, for me, for all of my crazy opinions, like, I've always been a Ben Davies stan. Like, I think he's fantastic. Like, that is the one person I generally have backed for a really long period of time. I just think he always steps up. He doesn't moan. He's so disrespected by our fan base for basically no reason. He just gets on with things. You know, he's this consistent guy. And I'm really happy that he's having a decent run and people are appreciating him for what he can offer, because I think he deserves it. And again, with Radu, I guess he's the newer one of the boys that we haven't necessarily seen much of. And if we have, there's definitely been mistakes in there. And I think that was definitely his best game for us so far. So it's a good position to be in. I don't think we should spin that into a negative one. I think let's just see. And whoever of the four players ends up starting for us, I think we have to back until there's a reason not to do that. And where we haven't seen that recently, I think let's give them the confidence and see what they can do. And again, they haven't really played with each other or interchanged very much. It's been quite distinctive, or they've only come on if there's an injury and stuff like that. So actually, let's change it up. Let's see if this one works with this one. Let's give it a go. If we've got the luxury to do it, let's do it.
Totally agree. And I say, I mean, we talk about influential players. I mean, we can't skip the likes of James Maddison and Dejan Kulusevski that were obviously pivotal and the focal points of that win against Manchester City. And again, they'll be needed a lot in these upcoming games. And it's quite interesting, isn't it? There's been talk about previously whether they could play together. It's nice to see Ange going back and trying that out again. You know, you might have arguably been scared off by the Palace game, in which obviously, to be honest with you, that kind of game, nobody really performed. You know, I don't think you could look at one player or two players. It was bad. It was an overall bad display. But the great thing that you saw is that I think the likes of, as we've seen, James and Decky can work together as a two, depending on who the opposition is. I mean, James, you know, it's interesting. I think we're very lucky on this show. We get a lot of outside fans watch this show that maybe are surprised by how much the Spurs fan base are rating Dejan Kulusevski right now. Just how good is he, James? Because at the weekend, I turned around and said that he's slowly morphing into what Moussa Dembele became as a player to Spurs, where he would elegantly glide with the ball and was quite simply just unplayable when it came to that progression in a Spurs shirt. Would you say he's there yet, or is there still a period of that to go for you? And you look at Decky now overall and the contribution he's given to Spurs this season.
Well, if he's not there, I think he's very close. I think he's been absolutely incredible, and he does remind me of Moussa Dembele, and can't get the ball off him. When that ball was played by Dragusin, it wasn't played to anywhere near his feet. That he was second favourite for that ball. But I remember Ange was talking about his slight tactical change of putting Kulusevski on the wing is because he causes them problems. And last season, we was worried about him being not having the options and being called out, and people were telepathing what he was going to do. He just seems to bring so much more to his game this season, and it's not just the play. It's, for me, the biggest thing is like that I'm hungry, let's eat. This mentality that he's coming through now, I think he's up there with the elite sports mentality, and I think that's the biggest leap that we're seeing. I would go as far as to say I would like to see him as captain. If he carries on the way he is, I think he's galvanising people. I think in the press he's fantastic. When you watch him at the stadium, and you're not just watching the highlights on Match of the Day or whatever, the ball work, just everything that he does.
Yep.
I honestly think he's incredible. He's definitely, for me, being the player of this season.
Yep.
I think I think Man City would look at that squad and go, it's definitely Pep's looking going, that's the danger man. And he still did what he did. So his tactics would have been to stop Kulusevski, I reckon, with Guardiola, who's one of the best tacticians, and he still ripped him apart. It really was the deck he had, wasn't it? But it's not just that. I think it's not just that game. I think I've been so impressed with him all season long. And yeah, that from the biggest bit is that elite sports mentality thing and the way he talks. And I think that's why. And I think he said recently, no one else has got what I've got. I've got different things that other players have got. Coming out and saying things like that and proving it on the pitch, that is very, very, very top of your game. And it's exciting. Yeah.
Totally agree, James. And I echo those points there. I mean, what I did find quite interesting, Ash, is that, James references the points that he said after the Man City game. And the thing he also did say, I think a couple of weeks before, is that he said in his mind, he knew he was going to have a good game against Man City. Look, he always does, but he emphasized that point. Is it a case of trying to transfer that mentality now to the group when it comes to, with no disrespect, maybe the lower profile games, the likes of the Ipswiches, the Palaces? How important is that? Because that's where, Ash, we're going to hopefully find that consistency. Because, like I said, in the build-up to when I'm bringing these guys into play, the likes of Maddison and Kulu, I think they are players that can play together, and they're players that can have a massive influence on the team. Do you think it's a case of just trying to transfer this, certainly in Decky's behalf, as James has said there, he's been really week in, week out, but someone like in Maddison's behalf, who, to be fair again, has done a fairly decent so far in terms of goals and assists, contributions. I think he's already on 8 so far. What do you need to see more of for maybe both players, if anything, from Kulu at the moment?
Consistency for my guy, King Kulu, Kulu and the gang, Daddy Kulu, Kulu man. All right, listen, with Kulusevski, we needed him at Ipswich. Where was he?
Where was anybody? Where was anybody?
No, but the thing is, remember the talk. Come on, let's be fair. Spurs fans, let's be fair. When people were saying, where are the leaders? Do you remember that conversation? Where are the leaders?
Yeah. Yep.
This is when you need to rely and rest upon your guys, the man, the people that you kind of look to and you think, right, he's that guy. And
you're gonna run that game.
Like when I say consistency, I'm saying throughout the season. I'm not saying because it's a bit harsh. I'm a fan of Kulu. I'm gonna keep it 100. I like Kulu. I've liked him from before. He's very unique in terms of his playing style. He's not like an orthodox winger. He's like a right-sided midfielder. Do you know what I mean? An old school right-sided midfielder that can play in the 4, that drifts into the midfield, but hugs the touchline, goes from out to in. What do they call it? I forgot the name they call it in Italy. But basically, that's where he learned his trade under in Udinese. That's where he actually started to pick up, and he went to Juventus, and he started to move on. But listen, Kulusevski, if he wants to, and he said it himself, he called himself out. He said he has a chat with his sister, and his sister said, "Did you score though? Did you assist?" So I like that kind of, relationship that he's got with her. I think it's pretty cool. And if he's going to transfer, like you said, can he transfer that into the other players? The only way by doing that is by Met Salah. That was what it was. Met Salah, not Regista. Met Salah, that operates in between the half space of the right wing and the midfield. That's Met Salah. Hardworking. But basically, he needs to lead by example. And that's what I meant by leaders. Yeah. If he's the one who picks that ball up like he did against Man City, carries it, puts it through a man's leg, stabs it, does a little 1-2, carry the ball up the pitch, cross the ball across the pitch into Dom Solanke. He needs to be doing that on a regular. Doesn't matter if the players aren't playing well. Do you know what I mean? We need to be able to rely on Kulu, on Amadas, game in, game out. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's the difference. When you talk about Palmers, do you know what I'm saying? When you talk about your Rodriguez, when you talk about whoever, Maddison, like whoever the top player is, Bruno, some people say Bruno, I don't know. But I'm just saying, whatever the top player you rate, you often see them frequently turn up for their club. Do you know what I'm saying? In those big moments, in those pressurized moments. And that's what we need from Kulu. We need it over a course of a season. And then we can say, look, fair enough. He's got, I don't know, 20 GA. Do you know what I'm saying? And we can have that conversation. Who's better midfielder, Palmer or Kulusevski? Because guess what? Palmer operates on the right, but guess what? Palmer's also a 10. So, if we're gonna say he's the best man in the Prem, we need to have these type of conversations. We need to start looking and putting pressure on him as well, and he needs to put pressure on himself.
It's an interesting point you bring up there, Ash, because I think that's always what everyone goes back to is that what have they put up goals and assists wise, because that's what the players will be measured on as a metric, and that's again what they'll be judged on. But I think again, I think if you speak to any Spurs fan right now, they'll simply tell you that Kulu has been running this team really since the start of the season. And to be fair to James, it's an interesting one for him where I made this point before with James, and he's had a good season, but Decky right now is currently on flames, and it's really hard when a player is performing the way Kulu is right now to have James as the main man. James has used to be the main man on the Leicester side. And look, again, it's up to James to really find that pathway. He obviously had a massive, massive impact on that game at the weekend. I mean, Tal, before we look ahead to Roma, how much confidence will that give Maddison, the fact of that performance against Man City? Because, again, you'd argue it was a real toss-up. It could have gone either way, player of the match between him and Decky. Decky, they were that good. Decky? Decky, they were that good. Yeah, mate, where are you on that midfield partnership?
I mean, we've all especially me as well. We've critiqued Maddison before because he was not anywhere near his levels prior to, I guess a few snippets we've seen, but he has not consistently been able to deliver what we're expecting from him. I think when he signed him, everyone was like, oh yeah, we've got our Eriksen replacement. Finally, is this creative guy. We're so excited. And post-injury, he just hasn't been able to get to those levels. And that was really frustrating in a time where we needed it. But the whole way from pre-season, this season, Decky's been that guy. He was by far the best player in pre-season. All of us were like, wow, this is not what we were used to, and he has consistently been able to deliver that this season, and it's been so excited to see. And I think as a player like Maddison, you're right, he was a big guy at Leicester, he had all of this energy and everything, and to lose your place and just be consistently outperformed every week, he doesn't come on and speak and be like, oh yeah, say anything, whatever. I think he accepts it. He's like, nah, he's incredible, he's doing so well, and that has really pushed him off the pitch to put the same, energy, effort into things, because he needs to be able to compete and he has to put the work in to do that. And I'm really happy at the weekend, let alone the fact it was his birthday, that to score two, in such a short period of time, what that does for your confidence is huge. And we know Madders is a lovely guy. And again, he's up there with all the boys and he's part of that dressing room and the leadership of the team. And I think, again, they were so happy for him that it really does help bring that togetherness back to the squad. And it's great. Like we said, in times like this, you want all your players firing cylinders and competing with each other and all encouraging each other to be better. So having that for him, I think, is amazing. Decky is just another can of fish at the minute. I think all the quotes coming out of him are so great. Everything from all the stuff he was saying about family and how you want to protect your family and everything. He's just got that proper mentality where he's giving it his all. He's overcome so much with that. Remember that huge interview he did a few months ago, and it was probably ages ago. Time goes so bloody quick. But
he's done a few. Really, don't worry, he's done a few recently.
He's really putting himself on the map. And I think if you're going to do that, you really do have to follow it up with results. Otherwise, you just leave yourself open to critique. And I think he's really okay with that. And if anything, that's really giving him more. And I mean, I just rate that massively. I just think he's been so good for us, and I'm just really happy. You also forget he's only 24. He's a younger. He's not, we keep saying our captaincy, leadership.
He's been around football for so long, hasn't it, Tal? That's a crazy thing about him. He is so young, but he's been around the game for such a long time. It's a young head. It feels like on experienced shoulders in a way, right, Tal? It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's a weird one, but I think even all of us, there's people that you see as kids and then people you don't. Not that 24 is a kid, obviously, but you do kind of see people.
Bloody 8 at my age now. I feel like I'm in a wheelchair on the back of those comments.
To be fair, but it's what I mean. It's I think you just think, oh, he must be in his late 20s and he has so much experience, and actually to be 24 and probably not 24 for even very long, you're like, wow, he's still got so much room to grow, and I think that's really exciting. And to be up there and have your Sonny and your Madders and everyone that he's hanging around with and everyone. I just think it's really great. It's exciting for us. And I think, especially with Bergvall, who we know has a lot of potential for the future, but is absolutely not there yet. I think it's really great for him to be able to have that. I know they're really good friends and he's confiding in him a lot. And I hope that spurs him on and they can teach him and he can learn from it. And great things are happening. But I'm happy for Decky and I'm happy for Madders, and I hope it continues for both of them, as everyone else.
Fingers crossed. Look, we're going positive. We're going positive. What we are going to do, we're going to squeeze in our last break of the show for our listeners on audio. Taking into that break, you're going to hear from Simon Delormo, friend of the show. Simon is covering AS Roma for us on our opposition preview. Simone's actually in the stadium for him. Lovely moment for him. He's actually going to be in the press box covering for Roma. So a lovely moment for him, a Spurs fan, but covering Roma. God, what's he got himself in for? We wish him all the very, very best with that. For our watching audience here, we've got nearly over 3,000 of you watching us live. As always, guys, thank you so much for all your incredible support for Last Word on Spurs in what, as we know, for Tottenham is a crucial Europa League clash coming up with both Spurs and Roma aiming for 3 vital points in the standing of the competition of where we are right now. Look, the stakes are high for Roma, who sit in the middle of the Europa League table with just 1 win. Spurs, on the other hand, can take 1 step closer to the knockout stages with a win, as they currently sit in 7th with 9 points. Roma are struggling. Please not the Tottenham now. Please not. They are winless in 3 matches. They're looking disjointed under new head coach Claudio Ranieri. They've been, you get where you got where he's from. Defensive errors and a lack of creativity have hurt them. They do sit 12th in the Serie A table and have only picked up 5 points from their 4 Europa League matches. So the desire for this game for Roma is absolutely huge, and they do need to, you feel, pick up points fast if they are to somehow progress. Their last 5 games, Roma have won 1, they've drawn 1 and lost 2. It has been an underwhelming stretch for them by far. And next is Tottenham. What can I say? What we worried about? What we worried about? Everyone looks terrified now for some reason. No one wants to go next. We'll start with Ash. Ash, let's bring you in. Don't look so scared, my man. Don't look so scared. Ash, what we expected on Thursday. Difficult to know. I mean, what changes? Come on, Ash.
You know what? Their away form is abysmal, and that's all I've got. I'm joking, no. But on the real top, I'm gonna say is
as
Roma.
I was getting on. Actually, don't go down that route. I said about as I was getting on. Don't go down.
No,
We've done really well at the weekend.
We're home. So that's
of course,
in our favor. I was surprised by the appointment actually by Ranieri. I didn't think he was going to be the kind of progressive manager they will go for. He's not progressive at all, in my opinion. To go from Mourinho to him, and it wasn't even Mourinho. They had another manager before that. But I just don't get the appointment at all. I just don't understand. I don't know if they're going to respond to him as well in the same way. Roma are a bit like, I don't want to say it, Spurs at times. I'll be honest with you, because sometimes like
they're very inconsistent, aren't they? Very inconsistent, aren't they, Roma?
Yeah, they're a team that you expect a lot more from. Do you know what I mean? I mean, we're a lot higher in the table at the moment because of we just won a game, so that pushed us all the way up. But in terms of Europa form, they're not. They need the win. They actually need the win. They're in the competition. We're kind of treating it. Well, not we're treating this game very seriously, but a lot of fans are looking to Fulham as opposed to looking to what Roma are doing. But it'd be interesting to find out from everyone. Do we put a full strength team out, or do we prioritize and look towards Fulham? Or I'm happy to mix it up, me personally, and see your Bergvals, because the last time we did it, and I think I did the last Europa preview, I can't remember, but anyway, we mixed it up. And some people are like, no, we should have gone full strength. We need to take.
He was here. He was here, Ash. He was here for that. He was here for the Gala preview. He was. Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Then I was going to say, like, so. It's crazy because we didn't go full strength. We played Ipswich, and we all know what happened next. You know what I mean? So then people are like, we might as well have gone full strength for Galatasaray. Do you know what I mean? So there shouldn't be the same excuse like, oh, you're holding back for Fulham. Now, what we doing? We need to take this serious, because what happens if we lose against Roma? Then all of a sudden, our qualification scenario becomes like, oh, we must win. So it's a hard one to think about. But me personally, I'm not going to lie. Going off the back of what we said about Kulu, I saw Kulu with Bergvall at Sweden in the international weekend. And I want to see it again. I can't lie, people. I want to see it again. I feel like Kulu's raising this young man to become the next beast. We know Bergvall has the technical proficiency to become a top player. I just think he just needs more games to get up to speed. The physicality, the speed of which Europa and the Premier League is a lot different to what he was experiencing back in Sweden. So I don't know. For me, I know we should rest probably Decky, but I'm just saying it's not a fantasy, but I would love to see it. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm going to say.
It's really interesting actually bring up that case about Bergvall, because I think that game against Gala, with no disrespect to him, Tao, probably swallowed him up a little bit. With no disrespect, again, you might argue that he hasn't had the sufficient game time to build confidence. And then again, really, when I've seen Archie Gray again for him, I think he's grew into a lot of the games in which he's featured in so far. You'd imagine he will get an opportunity. But then again, with Bentancur's domestic ban, he has now effectively become Spurs' Thursday night man. So you would imagine Bentancur will definitely start the game.
Sure.
How do you see this one, Tao, in terms of the selection? Because again, this is the thing. I'm seeing a lot of fans, already veering towards Sunday against Fulham as being a really crucial game. But I mean, I think Ashley is absolutely spot on there that this Roma game, in terms of where it falls, given the fact that we didn't get a result against Galatasaray and the fact that the group is still fairly wide open to some degree. I mean, you can see there, for those on our audio right now, I think Midtjylland sitting in 13th. They're on 7 points. Spurs are currently on 9. Spurs could find themselves really midway down the table. If they do not get a result. So this qualification to the next stage of the Europa League, it's no way done yet. I think again, there's a lot of people hedging their bets saying we'll beat Elfsborg, but I think we see this with Europe. There's no guarantee of football. I think it's really important that with every game that you have in the Europa League, got to take them seriously, right? I don't think any games are given, even though we had a great start to this competition.
I agree. I mean, no games are given, and the fact that Roma needs to win scares me and every other Tottenham fan the most, I think. That's the thing, is as soon as a team needs to win, that means their head and their hearts will be in it. And if ours isn't for those reasons, that's where we get punished. And I do not think being at home where, our record's pretty good, where fans have had to pay, 65 plus quid to get in there. If that does not go the way we want to or take it seriously, then I think that is a really poor move from Ange in general, because again, it's a few days before the next home game and you'll just have an unhappy lot of people if it doesn't go the way we want it to. So I think we have to keep it at the top of our priority list. And yes, we have to be smart and rotate, and we can't do those things. But, Johnson was rested, a lot of the weekend. So was Timo. If we've got Rodrigo in there anyway, there's definitely players that we can use that were slightly rested, and we can rotate and have things. And I think we've just got to play smart. That's the thing. We know that we can't afford to be like, oh, let's just not take it seriously. And when we do that, the mentality goes and everything else goes with it. And you never want that. You want to take everything seriously. The whole reason any of us were excited about the Europa League was because actually it was a real opportunity for us to go out there and win and actually put in those shifts. And we'd want that. Right? Why would you not want to take it seriously or see them be like, oh, let's prioritise Fulham for what? Top 4's not a trophy. We want to do well, of course, but you can't deprioritise that based on those things. Like, everyone's got games every few days. We've got a lot more squad depth than we used to, and this is a time where we have to use it. And I would like to see a balance of that. It needs to be strong. Either go out there, make subs, or vice versa, be slightly weaker but put on if you need to. But I don't think we can be too cautious, because when we do, things don't really turn out the way they should for us.
You make an excellent point there, Tam, in regards to the ticket price for this game. It's not cheap at all. So I mean, I think when you're sending fans down there, we know. I think I laughed and joked with Jason yesterday. I think it's at the moment forecasted for 0 degrees.
It will be freezing.
It's a bloody cold night down there. You want to see a team that's going to go out there and perform.
But also, you've got to go to the game, 4 days apart, 3-4 days apart from each other. That's a big ask for fans in general, let alone after work on a Thursday. And then on top of your season ticket price, or even if you don't have one, you're still paying £60+ to go see your team. Yep. And if you go to that, especially where it's a cup game and maybe you could get a ticket where you don't usually go, if you're not getting the best team out there really trying to win, I just think that is really not fair. And you don't expect that, because every game should be taken seriously, especially where, like you said, if you lose a game, that 9 points could easily, if those teams do well, I don't know what the fixtures are, but we don't want to be in a position where we're shaky and be like, or we want the extra game and want whatever. We don't want that. Well, we want to be dominant.
I think we have got Rangers next. I think I have to have a look at the schedule for Tottenham. But Rangers is fast around the corner for Spurs in terms of the Europa League. So, I mean, again, when you're looking at games that are coming thick and fast, that is not going to be easy. Yeah, Rangers is on the Thursday, 12th of December. Again, it comes in a really, as we've discussed, a really cluttery period of games for Tottenham. And suddenly, as you say there, Tal, you don't get the result against Roma. Suddenly, Rangers away, despite Rangers, can I say, having probably one of their worst seasons ever. No game's easy. I will say that going away from, home in Europe, many would say you take a point, but Spurs, you don't want to be in that position where you need to win. Does that make sense? You want to be able to do your job at home and get through.
It's a winnable game.
Are we saying that we have to go full strength then? Because you're saying you've got to take this competition seriously. People are paying money. And I don't know, because some people in the comments were saying Bergvall got swallowed at Galatasaray. Would you start him again? Because, and then there's another scenario. Obviously, we've just lost Vicario to injury. If you do go full strength and you start to play some of those players and you do get injury, then that affects the Fulham game anyway, or the rest of the season in the long term. So it's like, do you do short-termism and say, look, we must take the competition seriously and go for Roma? Or do you think long-term and think, all right, maybe we swap one or two players around, but then risk Spurs dropping off in form? Is there a gap, is what I'm saying, between the first team and the second team? Because when we played against Galatasaray, no one was happy and we did swap things around. And it's just, I'm not saying for you guys to have the answers, but I'm just throwing it out there.
It's really hard. I think he's down if he does, down if he doesn't, does he? It's a really hard one for him at the weekend. It's a really hard one in these next few days. He's got to juggle the squad. I mean, the reality is I can't see him playing the same 11 on the Thursday and then putting them back out again on the Sunday. So he's going to have to find a way to rotate it. I mean, you could argue maybe Dominic Solanke needs the games to be playing twice a week. I mean, Brennan Johnson is a fairly youngish player. He should play twice a week. I don't know, James, where do you stand on it for you? How will he get that balance right? I mean, as a manager, that's what he's paid for, isn't it? It's being paid to make these decisions like this that will hopefully see us collect 6 points this week, 3 in the Europa League, 3 in the Premier League.
I think the answer's somewhere in between, in the middle of what we're saying, basically. I think a lot of these top clubs, when they're playing Champions League and going for the titles and stuff, it's about gentle rotation. It's not about making any wholesale changes like we saw against as Spurs fans, we're worried because we see these big 9 changes in the Carabao Cup. We can't be doing that.
No, can't be doing that.
Again, I actually do believe the main point Talia is saying for me is that ticket price and it's not just 60 quid. It's getting down there and what you spend and what you do. That is a very, very valid point as well. But for me, I think it's gentle rotation. It's about making a couple of changes. It's actually going for it. I think the way that you qualify for Europa League is by winning your home games. You win your home games, you're okay. As much as these other games, Rangers and Hoffenheim, and they seem like they seem like winnable games and stuff. Our away form's not been great, and I think this is a massive must-win game. As much as I said about Brandon Austin maybe tried out in goal, I'd only like to be seeing 2 to 3 changes. To be honest with you, I wouldn't like to be seeing any more than that really. And I would like to see Sonny. I'd like to see us start, get the result, and then can we try and rest Fulham? Because
you're saying get that result done and then start bringing off the more experienced players for Sunday against Fulham. Yep.
One thing that I did see is I saw. I know this might split the fan base or whatever, but Werner against a tired left back, a tired right back or whatever, is maybe a new thing that we need to be pushing now. So Sonny, I'd like to see Sonny start. I'd like to see us go at them. I'd like us to get a couple of goals and then bring on your Bergvalls and then bring on your Werners. Johnson can start. Yeah, he's a young lad, and I think you're right. Solanke should start. I think as much as maybe we should see resting a little bit, but I would like to see Porro start. I'd like to see Udogie start. I wouldn't like to see too many changes. I think we do have to win this game. I think this get qualified and then we can start mucking around with it because I don't want to play that extra game.
I agree.
So Jim, are you saying then no? Sorry to cut you, Talia. Are you saying then no Archie Gray? Because a lot of fans want to see Archie Gray in the team. Yeah. Does that mean we drop him for this Europa game? Because
I don't see
he's a player where. Go on.
Yeah, go on, mate.
No. I was gonna say that was my point. Literally, because people are saying that they want to see Archie Gray in the midfield. He's not a right back. He's not a centre back. He's not a left back. We want to see him. But would you risk then playing Archie Gray in the midfield with a Bentancur and then I don't know who else would you have in the midfield? Like who's your third midfielder?
would rather see Gray as a 6 than on right back. To be honest, I think he's better suited there. I think that's what he was brought to the club for. But Bentancur is clearly going to be playing. But do we play Bentancur then as an 8, and then do we have maybe Maddison as a 10?
I think you have to play Maddison. After the weekend, I think it'd be a mistake not to play him. He's just
he's going to be going for it. But and I know Decky wants a rest and stuff, but again, I'd still maybe like to see him start him or Johnson out on the right. I'd like to see one of them start. I want our big players playing against Roma. I'd like to see Decky playing, to be honest, or Decky starting. But I wouldn't. If you haven't got Romero and Van der Ven, I'd keep Udogie and Porro for the start of Roma. I'd get it as close as we can to our best 11, and then get the couple of goals, and then rest for them. Because if we lose that game, we are going to be absolutely looking over our shoulder for the rest of this competition, and we can't afford to do it.
Then you go into the situation where at Rangers, do you feel like you do need to get something there, or are we fairly confident we do win against Hoffenheim and do win against Elfsborg? You know, we've been there with Spurs before. We've been there this season where we feel a game is routine winnable, and we've not done the job. Whereas, you know, given our start to the Europa League, this is a real opportunity where if you do beat Roma, who again, let's be honest about it, as Ash said at the point of bringing Roma into the show, they have been so inconsistent this season that a win for Tottenham there, it puts them in a really commanding position where they can afford to go to Rangers, pick up a point, and then get the job done against Hoffenheim and Elfsborg. And like you say there, James, they're not looking over their shoulder. We'll be interested what he does with the selection. That will be really, really key. He's got to find the balance. And
hard, isn't it? European games away are different to Premier League games away, and our away form isn't great anyway. So we've got to be going strong in the home game.
Yep. It'll be interesting what he does. Like I say there, he's got a dilemma to make. Does he start Decky or Maddison? Does he start both? Does he give Gray or Bergwijn the opportunity again? Does both come into that? You would imagine Bentancur will start. He will be Spurs' Thursday night man, of course, with that situation around that domestic ban. Forster to start in goal. It will give Forster the opportunity to, you'd imagine, get a run of games, and we'll see what he's made of. But it won't be easy. On that point, we'll go to predictions. Let's go to James Black to start. Sorry, bud.
No. 2-1 Spurs. I'm gonna go. I think it's gonna be a very, very tight game.
I think it'll be tight.
2-1 Spurs. I'm going.
Okay, James, thank you so much.
Just up, and it'll be an edge, and it'll be a very edgy last 20 minutes.
What I will say is that when we've won at home, I mean, they've been quite convincing, haven't they? When you think about the wins we've had, Brentford, West Ham, Everton, Villa. This is the thing. If Spurs can start fast, then we could be in for a good night. And again, it's a bit of a glamour tie, this one. I think Spurs, Roma. I mean, Roma, I know it's a joke of the Serie A, very similar to Spurs, where they are the great underachievers to some degree. But it's got a, it's still a big game. And I like Tower says as well, it's a lot of money to go there again. And you've got Ipswich, hopefully not got Ipswich again. We've got, can't be doing that again for 94 minutes. Definitely not. We've, of course, got Fulham at the weekend. Don't get me started on Fulham where we are with them. But yeah, we'll see. James, thank you so much. James, reminder, where are you on Sunday? Are you there Thursday as well? Or Thursday off?
Thursday I am at Shelf Bar Thursday for the Roma game. I'm at Shelf Bar. So level 1, block 120.
Fantastic. And do you know where you are for Sunday? Same place as usual?
Sunday I'll be White Hart, which is level 5, block 525. I'm just going to double check that whilst I'm on air, and I'll let you know in a second if that's right.
Fine. Okay, we'll keep you on a cliffhanger there. Dun, dun, dun. Let him come back to us on Sunday. We'll go to Ash quickly. Ash, what are we going for prediction-wise?
Yeah, all right, let me switch it up. I think if we go for a strong midfield, so I do respect Roma.
What is Ash in your mind? What is a strong midfield in your mind?
Bentancur, Maddison.
Okay.
Bentancur, simple.
Yep.
Simple.
And you're resting Decky for Sunday against Fulham.
Well, Decky can technically can play out on the right, to be fair, and we could do the same. We could run the same mock we did against Man City and bring. Would you play
Decky and Maddison in this game?
You know what? Do you know what? Like, if we were in Champions League, it would be no different. James said it before. If we were playing Champions League, these players would have to play two games in a row, and he's not old. Like, Decky's 24, young engine.
They can't play two.
Exactly.
Knows how much money? Just run.
Talk to them, Talia. Talk to them. Right then. So on that note,
I haven't worked 5 days in a row.
Can we afford to bid him? The old bloody squad's falling apart at the moment. Can we afford to bid him?
Hey, the team picks itself. If I'm being totally honest, on that note.
Oh
So,
my god!
and if we
It's a
do
good
play a
point, though.
strong
It's a good
team,
They're so
Yeah.
young.
No,
You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, if we do blow them away, then you can start bringing in the youngers, start blooding them back in. Maybe put a what's it called in the number 6 role because we're 3-0 up. Do you know? And Archie Gray, sorry, in the 6. Like, because by then we're home and dry. Then obviously you could bring on your Johnsons and your Werners to stretch the game, blah blah blah. And if that happens, 3-0, isn't it? It's calm. But if we don't, and we have a few players rotated, and this is why I've got question marks in terms of the actual squad depth. I'm not saying there's a massive drop off, but there's drop offs in certain areas. There's
100%.
slight trade offs. There's slight trade offs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we haven't improved from last season, but at the same time, I'm starting to recognize certain players do have different abilities on the ball, meaning that they protect the ball for us in possession. We hold on to it a little bit better, which allows us to get up the field. Some players don't have those technical abilities. So horses for courses. Yeah, but for me, if we don't start with a strong team, then it could be very technical. It could be very techy. 2-1. 2-1. I'm going to say 2-1 Spurs. 2-1.
I think it will be close. James, should we quickly fit that in? Where are we Sunday?
Yeah, sorry. So I'm at Shelf Bar on Thursday, and on Sunday I'm at White Hart Bar. So Shelf Bar's level 1, 120 for Thursday, and on Sunday I'm level 5, block 525.
There you go. Bit of rotation there. Keeping it.
Bit of squad rotation in the East Stand.
Yeah, there you go. It does happen. Like I say, we'll wish him best with his back. James, thank you so much. You superstar, you. We'll see you very, very soon. Again, well done to all our Spurs community out there. Like I say, unbelievable year for James. Sold out that World Tour 24-25. I'm sure, James, you'll tell us there's stuff already in the works for 25-26. Or am I giving something away that I shouldn't have done?
No, that's exactly it. I've had quite a few message me, so I've said to them and anybody else who's interested, get your supporters clubs to message me, and when the fixtures come out in June, I'll go again. It's been so amazing, and thank you for having me on the show. Thank you, Talia, and you guys are incredible today, and thank you for everyone who's come along to any of the shows. It's just you're making a very old boy very happy. It's a dream come true.
Get aging himself there. I'm right there, James. In terms of people want to get hold of you, contact you, DM. Is that right? Email?
Yeah, just the Voice of Spurs across Facebook, Instagram, all of the social media. Yeah, just send me a DM, send me a message. That'd be great. Thank you, James.
You're a star. Tal, let's close with you. Been an uplifting show for one that I say again, it could have really been difficult because of the news about Vicario. I think, Tal, you made some really important points there, with the ticket prices, the fact we've got 2 home games in the space of 4 days. It's an opportunity to really build some momentum, isn't it? We've not had that chance in terms of the season to really, I feel, get a run going. It has been very stop-start. It has been, at times really frustrating about that consistency piece. How important is that now? Like we talk about the fact we've got a number of games to come, a regular run of games to come. We need to find that consistency. This is a great week to try and do that, Tal. Is that fair? Let me know your thoughts and let's get a prediction from you.
Yeah. No, I think it has to be. I think the quicker you keep that momentum going and you build that confidence up and you forget, if everyone's down about the keeper and then we lose a game, think what that does. That is just a danger zone. And that's where people spiral and go backward. It's like home atmosphere is really good. Like in general, we can score a lot of goals at home or everyone's pretty positive. We need to keep that going. If we can get 2 wins this week, that's super positive. It's like, off the back of City, you're like, wow, doesn't really matter that we haven't got our best defenders on the pitch. We were amazing. That's great. You do that again. You put a strong team out. You take the cup seriously. You win the game. Great. Everyone's happy. Nice. You move on to the weekend. Every game's an important game in the league. So you have to put it out there and you hope that it's another positive result. And then all of a sudden, you've had a really great, week, 10 days, even though we've had some really bad news as a club. And that's, all you can ask for, really, especially where you've got Chelsea, etc., coming up, and that's a home game and everyone's on edge. You don't want to be in a position where your home fans are not happy or there's not momentum at home. You don't want that. None of us want it. So it's an opportunity. I think the boys will want to be strong. I think he will go strong. Like I said, no names in particular, but I'd like to see 3 or 4 max changes. And I will predict 3-2 on the basis I think we're going to go strong I think it'll somehow be like 1-1, and then we'll make some changes and we'll go, or like, no, then we'll push on in the second half like we usually do when we concede first. I think we'll be like 3-1, and then obviously in like the 80th minute we'll concede just to make it difficult for ourselves, and then we'll all just be stressed until the end. But it's going to be fine.
I think it'll be 3-2 on the basis that it's 60 quid a ticket when you keep everyone entertained.
Nah, they don't care about that. Don't be silly. That one doesn't matter. That's just an us thing. I don't want to pay that and then be disappointed as per.
Yeah, I totally agree. Listen,
I feel all right.
Talia, thank you so much. Lovely to be back on Last Word on Spurs. Like I say, Tal will be over involved hopefully over the Christmas period. Lots of games to come. Ash, thank you so much. Can I just say, for those that are listening right now, that are watching this live, you can reroute through to Spurs Kings TV, where Ash transforms into the evanescent Spurs Kings TV host. We blend in with Mirage, and please go and follow Ash now as he starts his show over at Spurs Kings TV. Ash, always a pleasure. I think I have got you booked up and you and Marlon during the Christmas period. Please forgive any partners, family, relatives that I've upset, which is a regular occurrence, I think, in my life along my own at the moment.
Don't worry, Rick. I'll send the receipts to you, man. It's all good.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, bro. I dare open them. I've got thousands I'm owed, honestly. I'm in debt to many, many wives out there. Please forgive me, along with my own, of course. James, thank you so much, my man. Always a pleasure. We'll see you back-to-back in the stadium twice in 4 days. God, let's hope the songs are coming, James. We've got a busy, busy month in store, right?
Yeah, they're coming, mate. Yeah, these pre-games are amazing. I mean, the post-game atmosphere is amazing as well. But thank you so much for having me on. You guys are incredible. Talia, you should be a manager, I reckon. To be honest, your motivation speech.
I reckon you're right.
I think, listen, that would work with it. Bid them, just bid them. We're talking about.
That's what we want. That's what we want.
I'll be like, do you know what? I work 5 days a week. You work you just run around for a couple of hours, and you're actually only working once. Get on the pitch.
Out there.
I just think, can we get whatever's Tal's got and give it to some Romero? Can we get whatever's in town, give it to Romero? I'm doing the opposite of Ange now. Just do it the other way around. Whatever's in town, give it to Romero. Can we on his return?
Well, Tottenham, if you're listening, I might have 2 science degrees, but I'll change it up just for you.
There you go.
I'll become a manager if you want.
You heard it first there. Tao is available. Like I say, tell you what, I mean, with Vicario on the touchline now, out for a period, can't Tao take that role for the Europa League games? Vicario's doing a tremendous job on the touchline for Ange there, running up and down.
Yeah,
I mean,
God. When Ange turned around.
Oh, my God. Honestly, what a club. What a club. Listen, let's see what the next episode Spurs brings us in the next drama series coming your way on Thursday, then Sunday. No, we are starting on a minibus the way Spurs are going, I tell you. Listen, from Ash, from the wonderful James Black, from the superb Talia Coren, we have been the Last Word on Spurs. Please keep safe, keep well, and as always, come on, you Spurs.